So, Johnny, which war will you be choosing to prevent and why? Which world leader would you take with you in this journey through time and why? Which rock concert do you select to take them to? And which sporting event do you select to take them to as well? Take all the time in the world that you need, my friend. Whenever you're ready, the floor is yours.
I would say the Vietnam War. Even though I am a product of the Vietnam War, I think that's when the deep state started running our country. I mean, the assassination of JFK, the assassination of Martin Luther King, that was a very difficult time in our country. The guy who's in office right now, I'll take Donald Trump. I mean, he's there to stop wars, stop the killing. He's trying to put our country first, and he's trying to get rid of the deep state. You know, I would take him to Woodstock. I mean, the talent that we had at Woodstock was absolutely amazing. We got CCR, Creedence Clearwater Revival, Santana. We have Grateful Dead, Joan Baez. Have so many great talent there, and a lot of them went out there to want peace, to not have war, to show love. The sporting event that I would take him to would be the Thrilla in Manila, because he loves boxing, he loved Muhammad Ali, and loves Mike Tyson. So, and that was one of the greatest fights of all time.
I would say World War II. I think that it really opened and set the stage of all these wars that kind of come after, and the amount of people that profited off of that war, and then the war out of it, you know, selling to both sides, and all of these other things that we don't even take into account as just everyday citizens, because we're just trying to live our lives, right? But I did some research, and I did think about who I thought probably had the most to gain after that war, during and after that war. And it led back to the money of Prescott Bush, which was then George Bush's father, and then Bush Jr. And you think about how he, you know, with the banking system, how much he profited, and the rise of that military industrial complex, and how it became an economy. The war itself became really an economy and a money-making thing for so many people. And I also was going to take him to Woodstock, because it is the polar opposite. It is everything of preaching, of leading with love and peace, and, you know, being united. And what a beautiful thing. I mean, I think if you think about like a bunch of half-naked hippies like blaring out to Jimi Hendrix, you know, as he's wailing on the guitar, and you know, the polarity of that against the bombs dropping, and like how deafening both of them are, but in two dynamic spaces. It could be really, really powerful. An event that really changed history, you know, in my world, was WrestleMania 3 at the Pontiac Silverdome. You know, you think about Hogan slamming Andre, and the symbolism of that, of, you know, this American pride of like built off of all these good things, at that time, you know, slamming this giant. And it, you know, obviously it's a business and it's entertainment, it's all these things, but however, it really was a storytelling moment of overcoming.
But the war that I would try to prevent, I guess it would be what Mickie said, World War II. You know, that was the most unhumane war that we have ever witnessed, you know, mainly because of the deaths, and the impact that it had on the economy. If we could have kind of maybe got to the Prime Minister, I'll just say I'll pick the Prime Minister of Japan, you know, at the time, who actually gave that order to drop that bomb on Pearl Harbor, and for them to, you know, to go that route, maybe we could have persuaded him and in a way letting him know the things, because Roosevelt at the time, I believe he was working with the Europeans at the time, you know, in terms of the concert where I would take them, it would mainly be the Michael Jackson, you know, the We Are the World, the dangerous tour, the We Are the World, because of what he stood for and what they all try to bring unity together. And I knew, people was falling out when they see Michael Jackson, no matter what type of race, religion, creed that you came from. That's the impact that he had on individuals. And I would take it in as far as a sporting event, it would be an NBA game because of the type of diversity that we have in our game. You have a German who's could be he'd be your franchise player of that individual, and not only that, you can play against another Frenchman, another German on an opposing team. So you seeing that type of unity come together, where there was so much division going on and so much hatred at the time. So that's the two places I would take. Either the prime minister from Japan, Tojo, I believe that was his name, and then possibly get Roosevelt to an event to where he can actually see how it all unveils and how what all is happening in terms of the individual that come together.
Muggsy, I'm going to ask you the same question before we go over to this topic. Do you feel like a president can retain their humanity after they've served our country?
Well, I think every president who goes in, they go in one way, and they believe they can change the world. They can do all what they say they're going to do. But once they actually get in, they realize they got to answer to a lot of folks, and they can't do exactly what they truly want to do.
Mickie, what's the biggest what if from your life, personal, professional, otherwise, that you would like to explore, and why?
The day I chose to go after wrestling as a career, as something that was not just like, oh, I'm going to be a weekend warrior and I'm going to go do these shows at like a National Guard armory, and actually try to get a job with a company where it could be a career and be my real job, and to like cut all those ties. I had to move away from home the first time and find that good school when I transferred to Maryland, and travel, like be willing to travel 3 to 4 hours twice a week to go train, and where I had to go financially on the struggles you make of trying to make it as any type of artist, I believe, of sleeping in my car or not being able to afford groceries or pay rent or do any of these things because I was chasing a dream and having to keep like a job that waitress job where it really was not, I was not making that much money. I often think of like, what if I had, and I loved riding horses and I still love riding horses, or what if I had settled for like what everyone did in Montpelier, Virginia, of like just being, going to work at the, Roses or at Cracker Barrel, or I think I worked at one point, and I really wanted to change both like, the generational of what my family had always been, and that struggle of like small town, trying to just make ends meet. And I'm like, I don't want to just make ends meet. I want to make it so none of us have to worry about making ends meet.
What if I didn't come from my parents that I came from? Because my mom was thinking about not having that last child. She had 2 miscarriages. And then all of a sudden, she decided to go and try one more. And then I said, what if I didn't have to endure all the things I had to go through as living in the environment that I had to go through? And what if the things that I had to not have to go through in terms of, because if I was tall, people would have said, everything would have been yes, yes, yes. What if the things that I decided to choose in terms of pursuing the dream that I wanted for myself, what if I would have gave those folks that type of power over me, that I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you guys today? Folks not believing that a kid my size could even play a sport that was considered for bigger and taller players. I always say, what if I would have gave in and allowed them to dictate what my life would have been, or could have been, or should have been, in terms of listening to them and trusting in them, thinking that they had the answer to who I am and what I wanted out of my life.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Well, I think all of us would like to say, what if we knew how to buy Bitcoin 10 years ago, right? What if I went to college? What if there was an opportunity for me to go make money in college like they have the NILs right now? We did not come from much. College, my parents could not afford it, but when I got drafted coming out as a senior in 1992, the Kansas City Royals offered me $250,000. Well, I knew exactly where that money was going to go. It was half was going to taxes, and a lot were going to my parents. So because they did everything for me. What if I went to college? Maybe I would have had a great time. Maybe I would not have taken baseball serious, or maybe I get hurt and then I don't have that opportunity to help erase the curse of 86 years or help the Yankees win another championship. So there's a lot of things you can look back on and say, woulda, shoulda, coulda. I kind of lived my life as taking what has been given to me. Baseball's a failure sport. We fail 7 out of 10 times, even more. And we always had to pick ourselves up. And I think that's a problem with the kids nowadays. They don't know how to pick themselves up. They don't want to fail. They want to succeed at everything. And if they do fail, they're on to something else. Yeah, your two careers were tremendous, and Muggsy, it's been tremendous. And I know there's what ifs in life, but I feel like you have to keep going with, what the Lord gave you, and keep going with your family and keep on enjoying every single thing you can in life.
Our final one over here, Johnny Damon. Which would you pay for to see and why of the following? Darth Vader, the wedding planner, Godzilla, the massage therapist, or Freddy Krueger, the personal trainer?
It's got to be Godzilla, the massage therapist. Yeah, I'm sure he can get in there pretty good. Little scratchy nails and get that spot right here.
Muggsy, my question is for you as well. Which would you pay for to see and why of the following, my friend? Rocky Balboa is a neurosurgeon, Seinfeld the correction officer, or Rambo the talk show host?
Rambo the talk show host. Because that would be hilarious.
I like it. 3 options and 3 different ways you guys went. Rambo is a talk show host. So if somebody's being disrespectful in the audience or even someone on stage, he doesn't have to say anything. He's got the knife. That's all he's got to, one of these.
Yeah, but I know that interview is going to take at least about an hour and a half just to get a couple questions out. Raheem going to be,
Oh, man. I like that. Yeah. And hey, listen.
Rambo. I love
Rambo, the talk show. I'd pay to see that too, man. Absolutely. Mickie James, you know a lot about music, a ton as well. Do you go with Papa Smurf, the hip hop artist, or Alf, Attorney at Law, or Mr. Bean, the motivational?
I mean, that one did pop me. I love the Smurfs too. I mean, even though it was a little bit weird that there was one Papa and all these Smurfs.
That is true.
Totally fine. What were the other options? It was the other one that got me.
We got Mr. Bean, the motivational speaker, or we got Alf, Attorney at Law.
Motivational speaker.
Absolutely. He doesn't have to say anything, right?
Well, no. I mean, you can just kind of grunt and make noises, and then.
This was another great show today. Great panel. So thank you very much, Avi. And TKN, I mean, you guys are doing great.